because bacon is the act of doing it. It's not
true.
the meat.
It's true.
Bacon's not the meat.
True. He's got a point.
Yeah.
What? We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We did it.
We
made
back.
it.
We made it. It's 2022 now.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Took a break.
Yeah.
January off.
One whole month.
One whole month.
Yep. Did nothing in January.
Nah.
No.
Absolutely nothing at all.
No.
Nothing's gone up on any Edo channel
No.
whatsoever.
It's been so quiet.
famously blank.
Famously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Famously.
So are we.
Because all the ever any of us ever do is the comic cast.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
no
yeah,
other
yeah.
piece of
That's
content.
what Edo
comes out.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just all comics.
That's what the four letters stand for. Comic cast.
yeah.
Perfect.
ETTO.
Yeah.
Comic cast.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just looking at my notes here, and I've already realized I didn't do a good job of copying this over because it says November, December at the top of it. So it is February of 2022.
It is.
The Edo Comic Cast is back. Welcome back for a new year, everyone. And we are doing a little comic called Batman Ego
Yes.
from the year 2000. A year where we hit a new millennium. There was an Olympics in Sydney.
There was.
I believe we all lived in Sydney at that point in time.
Yeah.
I was 1 year old.
Right. There you go.
There you go.
I was like 9.
Yeah.
I would have been 4?
Old man.
Yeah.
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 There you go.
Yeah.
I remember the Olympics and going multiple times.
Yeah, wow.
Like a lot.
Yeah, there are photos
Yeah.
of me at the Olympics, but I remember any of that.
Yeah, wow. I don't think I went near it.
No.
There you go.
Wow. 22 years ago as well. That's
22
weird.
years.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
It's like,
Jeez.
just completely off topic. I got an invite to a wedding
Yeah.
yesterday for someone I went to school with, and I was like, that feels too soon. Then I thought about it, and I was like, no, my friends would be 25.
Yeah.
That's a very reasonable time to be getting
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all old.
We're all old. and so is this comic.
Yep, 22 years old. Batman Ego. Comic Curiosities is short.
Yeah.
It's very short. It's
Cool.
just written, arted, coloured, cover arted by the same person.
One
Wow.
guy.
Yep. He didn't do the lettering, which is funny because that's the one thing that is
Yeah.
very weird.
You probably
with
needed
this.
someone else
Bit
for
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all done by him. I didn't look up anything on him, but his name is Darwin Cook.
Nice.
So if you want to know more about Darwin Cook,
it sounds like a smart man.
does sound like a smart
does.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not at all how you would expect to spell it either.
No.
Darwyn.
Yeah.
And then Cook with an E on the end.
Weird.
So just
It's like Coke. Like the drink.
Yes, but
When
with
you-
an extra O.
Yeah, with an extra O. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
it's closer to
does
Coke
have,
than-
Does Coke have an extra E on the
It's
end?
closer to Coke than Cook.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
getcha.
Yeah. So that's Comic Curiosities. We're done.
Nailed it.
Thanks, Darwin.
The other thing I'll mention is that we are doing this to tie into the Batman movie, which is coming out on March 3rd
Yes.
of also
Okay.
the year 2022, which is
This one.
14. No, hang on. No, I didn't do that maths right. 9. It's
pretty close.
11 days away.
Yeah.
From time of recording.
Yeah.
This comic, reading this comic took like considerably less time than that film will.
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
at 30th.
Yeah,
how long
totally.
that film
The
will
opening sequence, probably.
be. Yeah, probably.
You could read this comic within. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the film is 3 hours long, in case you didn't know. It's going to be a wild one. But this comic, it's just 60 pages.
Just
Yeah.
60
pages.
Yeah.
A one-shot.
And it was part of Matt Reeves' Bat Box.
Yes.
You can buy a box of comics that he said the film's inspired in, and that's part of this box.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can you actually, is that like actually?
Yeah,
thing you
there's a
can buy?
collection of comics you can
I think
buy.
it's
Yeah,
Batman
right.
Ego, Long Halloween,
Yeah.
Year One, and one other
There's
one.
one other one.
Okay.
So that was what I was tossing up for this one, and then we thought we'll do a nice short.
And very,
opening to the-
of the collection, it's the most unique.
Yeah,
I think.
totally.
It's the one that
Totally.
no one's probably
Totally.
read
Yeah.
as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of unique, though, I was going to say it feels like it takes very heavily from Batman the Animated
Oh,
Series.
totally, yeah.
Across the whole thing, the entire Art Deco art style is very Batman the Animated Series. Maybe
is-
a bit darker.
Yeah,
overall,
definitely.
but-
Which is funny because it means that the style of that series lasted for 20 years. Like it stuck around into this comic. Like
Yeah,
it
totally.
really set the tone for
Totally.
Batman for so
Totally.
long.
But yeah, otherwise, just to get it off the top, content warning, there'll be discussions of suicide and domestic violence in this because that happens in the comic.
Yep.
So just flagging that at the top. If you don't want to listen, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, jumping in, do we want to do like a plot summary, I guess?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like Batman kind of has a mental breakdown between like the two parts of himself, the human part that doesn't want to kill people, and sort of the darker
The Bat
part that's like filled with rage and hate. That's like, why don't we just kill people? That'll, then they'll stop escaping from Arkham, and that won't happen anymore. Like, how many more people are dying because we're not killing people?
Yeah.
And so he's having this sort of fight with himself throughout the whole comic. But within that, we get a little bit like deeper into sort of Batman's origin in a way. Like we go back to his childhood before his parents died.
Yeah.
His origin is Zorro.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
They
it.
keep to that. Yeah.
There you go. And yeah, you get him kind of hanging out with his parents and stuff a little bit, and getting a bit more out of that and some of his experiences, which it's kind of like that's one of the more interesting parts of this comic. I
Totally,
feel,
yeah.
is seeing him as a kid and relating those things back to what he's doing now and why he stands for what he stands for.
It's a good version of flashbacks, unlike other shows or content.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. It's just him fighting himself
Yeah.
to try and reason with why he's not killing.
And it all comes about because he's done his usual Joker thing of like caught him, put him away, and it was because of one of Joker's cronies telling him where Joker was, and then that crony is like, the Joker's gonna kill me, dude, so I'm gonna kill myself. Yeah. And that's the thing that like twigs Batman to just break down.
Yeah.
That's the kind of
that he also kills his
whole family,
Yeah,
because
which
he's
is
like, the Joker's going to kill him anyway, so I did it instead.
pretty fucked up, and we'll
Freaking
get
hell.
into
Yeah.
the discussion around that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
just surface level thoughts, because I'd say some interesting ones, but
Yeah. I think it's one of the few realms of comics that I feel like that makes sense in. Like knowing what the Joker is in that universe and kind of what it all is about. It is fucked up. It's disturbing. But so is the Joker. And so I reading it, I wasn't alarmed by it. I was like, that is an interesting thing that is obviously built to what the rest of the comic kind of shows. It's very confronting to read within the first like 5 pages though.
Yeah.
That is a lot. I don't know. I it's something I don't want to see in film. I don't want the idea of it put into film, but it's something it's very comic. It's comic. It's a weird thing to say comic. It's very comic-ish. Just to remove the word comic, because comic is usually humor.
Yeah.
But it's very comic book.
Comedian.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like some parts of it I'm like, this really could have been, maybe like an issue or half an issue, like normal size. Some parts like felt kind of long, like dragged on a little bit, but it was okay. I don't know. I read this a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember much of it. I was scrolling through. I'm like, oh yeah,
That
stuff
maybe
happened.
says enough about it, though.
Yeah, I don't find it overly memorable. I think I wonder whether this sort of took, because there's no like villain in this. The
Except
villain
for
is
villain
kind of
is
just Batman
his
within
ego.
himself. Yeah. And it sort of almost goes back to like your Iron Man demon in a bottle kind of thing, where there's no villain in that arc.
Yeah.
It's just it's Iron Man fighting himself and his own demons. It's essentially what this seems to be sort of stemming off in that sort of way.
Yeah.
But
Famously, Demon in the Bottle is half an issue, right?
yeah.
It was
Maybe
a
not.
very long run.
Maybe not. Yeah. It was a long one.
Yeah.
Much longer than this.
Yeah.
But
It's like
that's
I
sort
think
of the vibes
I
that I
think
got.
this is it's cool that they have honed down on an idea that's like prevalent for all of Batman's thing of the not killing thing, and like it's in all superhero medium of like, do you kill the villain to just get over that kind of thing? It's in like I think the first season of Titans, they toy with that thing of like, what if Batman just killed the Joker and just moved on? Like it's cool that it is that this exists in a 60-page run. that gets deep into it. But yeah, it just gets a little bit bloated. It's like I feel like the same idea just gets regurgitated over every 20 pages. It's we're still doing this, aren't we? Like, just break out of this, dude.
And the resolution just kind of happens.
Yeah,
He just sort of
wakes
says
up.
like, "No,
Yeah,
I won't kill people," and then it's over. It's like, okay,
yeah,
fine.
I was thoroughly whelmed by this comic.
for sure.
I think I picked it out of all the comics that we had options to because it just seemed the most interesting to me on the surface level, like an introspective comic about Batman and his psyche. And I feel like it was just very generic for what it was offering it could be. Like, I think the idea of him talking to the Batman half of himself is very interesting, but I was expecting it to be more than just what it amounted to, which was basically him saying, do I kill people or not?
Yeah.
Is that a thing I should do?
Totally.
Which is something like gets regurgitated quite a lot in Batman media. And this maybe has like a slightly more interesting take on it because it splits the two halves of like the two options into two parts of himself. But it was just... I think it's also the resolution where it just kind of ended and he just goes back to being Batman and
unchanged,
doing the normal thing. And it's like...
I was half expecting like a fight, like a weird like physical fight, but all mentally. Because you've got him literally staring down Ego like an actual other character. It's not just him talking to himself. There is another thing that he's talking to. I was half expecting an actual like... sort of physicality
Fisticuffs.
to it, or some sort of fisticuffs or weirdness, like weird sort of fight, or like they go inside each other and there's some weird tussle somehow that comics can do
totally
in a weird interesting way, but it literally is just a discussion.
And it's also like it feels very friendly by the end. Like the end resolution is like, so you'll stay in me and you'll be that guy that does that thing and I'll be here and I'll do that thing. We're cool with that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
And and
let's move
literally
on.
the super scary Ego character is like, agreed.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the last thing he says.
Batman doesn't
Agreed.
feel very Batman as well. Like the way he's speaking to this thing, I feel like even in this situation, he should feel a bit more authoritative, like towards it. But he's like, oh no, who are you? Where am I? It's like, this feels very strange for Batman.
Yeah.
But
It's also quite a dark comic, and I think like the first half of it does a really good job of setting that up. And then again, it kind of just goes back to,
loops
I
around.
feel like what I'd see from the Batman animated series. Just the ending is just like the end of an episode. And it's like,
we need to wrap this.
you had all this like cool setup. There's like a panel which has like skulls on it and stuff, like of all the dead people that Batman is responsible for. And I was like, damn, this is intense. And then
it almost felt like it needed to, and I thought it was going to lean harder into Ghost of Christmas Past, because that's kind of what it is in terms of like, let's take you back down on the journey of everything you've done. And I'm like, and it just never really plays with that in the way that it probably could have, I guess.
yeah. But yeah,
That's probably the thoughts.
that's the thoughts. That's the thoughts.
The one though, which I'm sure comes up in this, is that it is impossible to read the first like 10
Oh,
pages.
it's so
of
bad.
this.
The
I can't tell.
the cursive.
Yeah.
I think multiple people mentioned that. We're going to run through the viewer comments in a second, but that cursive was horrible.
Nuts.
And I was reading it on a screen as well, and just had to like zoom in and try and decipher everything. Not great.
Not a good start.
Probably not a good choice. I like that they were kind of went
Yeah.
the journal kind of thing, but maybe just write it normally. You know, people write in normal handwriting.
Yeah, not
in a
whatever
journal.
that was.
I don't think Bruce Wayne has that kind of handwriting.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how they did it in Watchmen, because Watchmen has a bunch of
Rorschach's journal.
Rorschach's journal sort of thing, and I feel like you can see that it's handwritten, but not in
that.
a difficult to read cursive.
I guess actually, you know what it is? It's probably because Batman's dad was a doctor. And so he's
true.
adopted his father's writing style, penmanship, which is just fucking annihilate a page with a pen, and hope for the best.
Yeah. The only the only other random thing I have to mention is there's one page where Ego shows up on Batman's screen, and he just presses escape to turn off the computer, and I'm like, yes,
That's how that
that's
works.
the button that turns off the computer.
Amazing.
Again, to give like a logic around, maybe Alfred was like, Batman's still computer illiterate, so Alfred has done a back end thing that he can just hit escape to turn it off. Because he's tired of Bruce just ringing him up and being like, I don't know what to do. So Alfred just made the escape button.
There's a power button, Bruce.
Yeah, just hit the restart, buddy.
Yeah. Alfred set up a macro.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Well, yeah, that's kind of our thoughts. Again, this is a different kind of comic cast because it's not very long and not very dense. But
Well, it's dense, but just in a weird, hard way to talk about.
So kind of taking a bit of a turn, we're going to go into the viewer comments because you guys have all written some fantastic comments and kind of, I think, discuss some of the talking points from there that we haven't covered or maybe discuss a bit further.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think, let me check. We've got 5 people.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And a couple of newbies.
That's cool.
So thanks for reading along, guys.
Yeah.
So starting off with Joshy, he says, Bat one-shots exist in a weird part of Bat mythology, rarely contributing to the main Bat books, primarily existing as experiments. Ego smacks of such experimentation. In the art and inking, it succeeds. I would agree.
Yeah.
Although, definitely, as I said, taking heavy inspiration from animated series.
And I also feel like, much like everything about it, it kind of stops doing interesting things like halfway through.
Yeah.
It's like I was hoping that the bat creature would evolve, but it stays that shape for the whole issue.
That's kind of what I was referring to with the fight. Like they could have done really
something
cool,
visually
like super interesting.
But like definitely as a style, it's really cool.
It's also, I think it's interesting. They could have kept it self-contained and finished it off well, but I almost think, ironically, it might have functioned better as a series of like 3 or 4 issues where they can go a bit deeper into that rather than having to conclude it.
Let him go back out and do something, and it's like the bat is still there.
Yeah.
Devil on the shoulder.
See how they're now working together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Continuing Joshy's thoughts, he says, effective use is made of the color red, muting most other to indicate bat turmoil and inner bat conflict. I like that you've used bat for everything. The blood, the suicider's car, the Robin suit in the broken case, signaling masked pain at their absence, the Gotham Trust sign on the building, storing his family's money, and the reporter's jacket when announcing the Joker has escaped again. And also the red hood.
Yes. There's definitely red there.
Yeah. The exception is the red water tank on the final page, a confusing deviation, while the tank draws focus centrally in that panel.
I love you, Joshy.
I lost subtext. You go into levels of detail. We don't, but that's true. That is now that I look at it,
that is very red.
It is very distracting.
Both that and the little shade over the building.
Yeah.
I love Joshy.
Yeah.
I love what you see, man.
Yeah. Weird. Hey.
Yeah. Totally.
That's super interesting. What?
It's a very, very good observation.
Yeah.
My one criticism of the book's impeccable look is the letterist choice of cursive font in the extracts from Batman's journal on blue background, which often required a second read to determine every word. It was on a bad background as well.
Yeah. It was terribly.
Batman as a character can only vary by shades, eternally stagnant, incapable of evolution from the archetype. That's a good sentence. The companions, genre, plot, and settings must evolve instead to generate fresh takes. Comics trying to psychoanalyze Batman are a dime a dozen with nothing new to say and full of amateur psychoanalysis that the writer thinks is smarter than in actuality. All traps Ego falls into once Batman falls asleep in the cave. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. It's very one note.
Yeah. Ego is too referential to larger Gotham for first-timers, but offers little fresh material narratively for long-time Bat readers. Certain eye-rolling touchstones are revisited. Martha's pearls, goddamn pearls, and another parental death scene. Even if the gunshot on a whole single splash page is an immaculate art piece, it is. It's very good. I'll chuck it up now. It's delightful. I did almost put in a mention in my notes, but I was like, Josh has mentioned it here. But the smaller family moments like Martha twirling her pearls in concern, the house call gone wrong, and the garishly gifted tie often the writing redemption while the inner bat demon tries drowning the reader and Bruce in inconsequential try-hard gibberish. Yes, I did like there's a few little family details. And the little thing of what's his dad's name?
Tom
Wayne. Tom. Looking after that patient and like Bruce experiencing that death and stuff. I did actually really like that little bit.
Yeah. It's definitely like,
again, the flashbacks were so
the flashbacks. I hope if this is in the bat box, I hope a lot of this does come across in the new film, because
That would be cool.
I'm not excited for that movie.
No.
But if this is the kind of stuff that he wants to include, the stuff that we haven't really seen on screen, that would
I
be
hope he
really
includes the first half of this
cool. Yes,
comic.
and the flashbacks.
Yeah.
But not all the other shit.
It's kind of like it was almost the worst part of this movie, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, the Christopher
later
Lee
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you
Because
see
he's dad.
Willy Wonka as a kid and stuff, like, it's
Yeah.
the worst. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
essentially what
It's-
they've done, is they've
and
added all this random
It's not
extra
finished
lore.
yet, because old mate Timothy Chalamet is currently shooting a Willy Wonka origin prequel show.
no.
Why?
Yeah.
What? Show?
Yes.
Show?
Yeah. There's and he seems to be in Johnny Depp's one, so I don't know if it's going to go down
Okay,
that route or
sure.
if it
I
is.
feel like
little bit of
every
it.
day we get a new streaming service announcement of an origin show for
Yeah.
something that
We don't
should
need.
be
Doesn't-
dead and buried.
Doesn't need, yeah.
Oh man, when you booted up Horizon just then, I was like, how soon are we getting that movie? Like, how soon is the Horizon film?
What did
coming
I
out?
read this morning? Disco Elysium
Yeah.
has been picked up for a TV series by Amazon,
Yeah.
which is
Really?
hilarious because Amazon, the most famous capitalist brand,
Yeah.
has picked up Disco Elysium, the most anti-capitalist game you will ever play.
Weird. And just to end this, there was also, I think I saw this morning, Life is Strange is getting a TV series as well. It's like, let's just let games be games.
And we're seeing Uncharted after this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
We're
man.
shills.
Yeah. Anyway, Joshy, to wrap it up, gives
Yeah.
us a score 3 out of 5 subtextually confusing red water tanks.
Very good.
Love that.
Very
Yeah.
good.
He writes very
That's
well.
a review.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone down that road before
Yeah.
to literally write
BMAX
this
should
sort of stuff.
expand his website to comics and then just
Yeah.
let Joshy
Let
do
Joshua
comic
just-
reviews.
Yeah.
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 That's
That was
it's
great.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's why you don't
sentence.
write
What I
reviews,
said.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I'm a mathematician.
Next up is Dolphin Pants. The man with the pants, who's also a dolphin.
Important. The second part's more important because everyone's got the pants.
yeah.
The man with the pants, unlike everyone else.
Yeah.
Kids.
Coming into this comic, I had no idea what to expect. I've been reading some of the modern issues last year, and when I heard this influenced the upcoming film, I assumed it would involve Catwoman or the Riddler.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other one. Batcat. is
That's
the other
right.
one.
Yeah,
The Tom King comic
Yeah.
is one of the ones that influenced.
Yeah, right.
Because of
Batman.
course it is.
Anyway, I was not expecting a deep dive into Bruce Wayne's psyche. There were some real tough moments in this comic. Thomas Wayne promising to live for a long time to Bruce, the man blaming Batman for the death of his family and himself, and Bruce dealing with the thought that maybe he caused the villains. Funnily enough, I was recently thinking about this problem in an episode of Peacemaker. Started watching that last night. That's
pretty good.
As it was mentioned that Batman causes more deaths because he doesn't kill his villains, and it's honestly kind of true. And seeing Bruce struggle with that and stick to his moral compass, it is tough and a great reminder that he's, at the end of the day, a human.
Yeah.
I agree. That was definitely the most interesting bit of introspection that isn't always touched on, is that, like,
Yeah.
the deaths. It's not, oh, you just don't kill. Like, you should kill them just to deal with it. It's actually look how many deaths you've caused
Yeah, outside
directly.
of yeah.
And as I said earlier, the page with all the skulls on it is very, like, impactful in getting that across, I think.
Yeah. It's a cool thing.
I enjoyed the journal, similar to Rorschach's journal, and allowed us to really feel what the character was feeling. I can only imagine this will influence a moral struggle in the upcoming film. Very good read. As a fan of Batman, it's good to see him not just be a genius billionaire who solves problems with violence and technology. The story really complements some of the themes of The Killing Joke, that the difference between Batman and the Joker is one bad day, which was fantastically reflected in this image. It's just a split panel of Batman and the Joker with, like, red behind them.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I hope I did a good job of describing that for you guys. You guys will see it
You
now.
can see it.
Yeah.
That's
That's
cool.
short
Yeah.
and sweet from Dolphin Pig.
I like the that comparison between the just one bad day can lead to this sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's how you handle it that
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
how it comes out
Yeah.
in the wash. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, Jade. Jade has a rant.
Oh,
It's
yay!
a good rant. It's a
Awesome.
good rant. So let's get going. Hello, Franz.
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 Love Franz. palm fronds in particular. Watch out.
nice.
Incoming rant, re Batman ego. That's in capitals, so I had to say it in capitals. Trigger warning for domestic violence because it clearly triggered me. Fuck. I could have really liked this, but literally one page made me so angry that I couldn't just sit back and enjoy it. The bit where the guy at the start says, I couldn't bear the thought of my wife and daughter in the hands of that maniac, so I killed them myself. Batman makes Pikachu gasp face. And in the Discord,
true.
there was
Really does.
There was a Pikachu face
Good.
to compliment this.
I want to see it.
Yeah. No, he definitely does. I remember. Almost.
We're getting there.
Yeah. That
It
fence.
does.
Yeah.
It's literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buster, no!
No.
Amazing.
Bang.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Jade continues. I'm sorry. Are we supposed to feel sympathy for this asshole? I don't want to be rude, but geez, you can tell a man wrote this comic. What he's describing is not a fridging per se. Note the wife and child don't even have the dignity of being shown or named. What that guy tried to do and succeeded in doing is a murder-suicide. IRL, the media spins stories of tragedy around actual murder-suicides, but what I see is glorified domestic violence. Why are we being asked to feel sorry for a person who murdered multiple people? To be clear, the loss of any life is tragic, and this comic is dancing around the topic of maybe taking a life might save others. But it did not even bother to try to deconstruct what a heinous act of murder-suicide is. Instead, it treats the guy's situation as a tragedy. Oh boo-hoo, he was so terrified of the Joker that he had no choice but to murder the women in his life. How noble and brave of him. You know, like a pharaoh being buried with his property. And the worst thing of all was that this absolutely added nothing to the comic. Imagine the same scene played out, but the guy instead just, 1, expresses distress that he has been rescued. 2, expresses despair that the Joker knows he was the leak. 3, expresses anger that the Batman has driven him to do this, then the guy shoots himself. The rest of the comic can play out exactly the same and you still get Pikachu face. Comic just as good, right? Which tells me the writer threw in a line about the guy murdering his own wife and daughter for shock value only. Never mind that it added 0 to the story and the way murder-suicides are portrayed in the media is extremely problematic. Otherwise, I genuinely agree with Josh.
That's totally
Nice.
true.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I mean by confronting, because it's just like an edgy moment
Yeah, it is.
to start the comic to be like, oh, this is going to be, but it never follows through on
Yeah.
being edgy.
Yeah.
Like, beyond that line, for sure.
Thanks for that breakdown, though, Jade.
Yeah.
That was a really good, like, interesting way to look at it. It's
Yeah.
nice to have a female perspective in
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
in
And
all of these discussions, for
I
sure.
read this before I read the comic because sometimes I do that because I kind of knew what this was going to be about.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was curious
Sure. Yeah.
to read people's thoughts.
sure.
And I think reading it with that context is definitely interesting because there is not really. She's very correct. There is no reason
That
why
happens.
that needs to be in there. And
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of further discussion in the Discord about this, about like that's like it's trying to show how insane the Joker is and like that kind of thing. But what Jay brought up in a reply to that is that if they want to properly explore that, there needs to be a discussion around like a family agreement, like this is something they all agreed upon. It's just directly like he murdered.
Because that would make it
people,
even creepier.
Yeah, it
like
would-
that makes it more dark. That even the family were like, "Yeah, no, we'll probably die."
It would make it even creepier. Like, it's arguably more disturbing, and like, there's a whole bunch of ethics to be brought up around that and stuff as well. But
and then you can tie it into the Bat family. Like
yeah,
you can tie it
totally.
into his own family.
Totally.
Because that's the one thing that I thought would come of this, especially because they go on to the family relations. The fact that he brings up that he killed his family.
yeah,
And then you start to see Bruce's family. I thought he would make a connection there in terms of the tragedy.
yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely Jade broke it down better than
For sure.
any of us could. But I totally I agree with you, and I think that
Just some edgy.
that it's definitely just trying to be edgy for the sake of edgy. The more you look at it, it doesn't
sure,
get any
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Jade. We really appreciate you going into the detail on that.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got a short one from Dion.
Our little art boy.
Yeah.
Love boy, and it's there now.
He did it. He
Saw
did
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
saw it. It's in his
Instagram.
bio.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Amazing.
The first half just killed my enjoyment for anything that followed. I found the cursive too insufferable to read, and like Jade, the glossing over a murder-suicide was too much. It was almost presented as a reasonable option in the circumstances, which is just yuck to me. The second half was okay, no cursive writing. It's not big on the I'm not big on the psychoanalysis stuff. The art was good. I like the design of Ego. It's a solid meh from me.
Yeah. Fair.
I think that is
That's we're filling out a podcast.
Yeah.
But if we were going to speak honestly, that's the truest
That
version
is,
of
when I
this.
was talking earlier, that's 100% how I feel,
Totally,
basically.
yeah.
It's just like,
When you said you were whelmed.
yeah. The only thing I change is I like psychoanalysis stuff. I just don't think they did an
wasn't
interesting
great.
job
Yeah.
of it, other than a few small bits.
I wonder whether, because he's saying I'm not big on the psychoanalysis stuff, so I'm wondering whether he's being like specific to this.
This
like
just didn't
this
work.
psychoanalysis didn't work for him, or whether he doesn't generally like that in general because it's like it can be maybe too deep for no reason. sometimes or whatever.
It's
but
too wanky.
yeah,
I think it's some of my favorite stuff in Batman when it's done well.
totally.
But
Yeah, that's because he's not really a character until they start doing that. Otherwise, he's just a beef man that punches people. It's
Totally,
like-
yeah. Like I think it
like
was
in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
yeah. Like I can't remember if it was Dolphin or Josh's comments before, but just saying like Batman's a human. It's something that you forget.
Yeah.
Because it's just Batman. But
When you say you mean Zack Snyder forgets that he's a man.
Yeah, totally.
Remember in
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman when they just have the one shot of the Robin cage with the
Yeah,
dead
yeah,
Robin
yeah.
stuff in it, and you're like, oh, they're going to do interesting stuff.
No,
and that
no.
was in the trailer and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, no. And then he's the best bit of that movie is when he's in the corner of the room as a bat, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking sick. And then he disappears, and then that's the coolest thing he does.
Yeah.
in the whole film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that he is human, like just that, like the way that this comic broke down to be like, yeah, he is human.
Yeah.
That's like the best part of the psychoanalysis, but the rest of it's like,
I
Pretty
think the
thin,
interesting part
yeah.
they did with it as well is the fact like they're taking Batman out of Bruce Wayne and saying
Yeah.
Batman is not a human thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
Totally.
this supernatural part of Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne, and I think that's an interesting take. It just
cool.
fell a bit flat at times.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And our final viewer comment from the Coastal City,
Coastal
first
City.
timer. You're getting us claimed.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
God's sake.
From someone who is a Batman fan and has a decent amount of knowledge from the Batman ethos, it is always interesting to see the inner workings of Batman, the superhero, and Bruce Wayne, the human being.
Yes.
The perfect example.
That's Bruce Wayne over there. Ben just
there I
motioned
am.
towards.
Just a beefy man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beefy man. He likes punching people.
He does. I've dealt with some of those punches.
Says the man that consistently kills the beefcake in Halo.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. The perfect example is dealings with Buster and the ending. Batman save Buster. Batman saving Buster is an act of heroism, but Bruce Wayne feels the effects of the suicide of Buster like any human would, and it hits hard. It's the darkness, or what the common calls it, the fear within Bruce Wayne that changes him or reaffirms that Batman and Bruce Wayne really are two different things. The best part of this was page 41 with the opening. We would take all the pain, all the rage, all the fear that has been bottled inside you, and we would share it with those who deserve it. That in itself was an excellent way to portray what Batman is essentially for me. Superheroes like Superman and Wonder Woman who are essentially invulnerable to an extent can hide behind that, but Batman is just a man of Earth like us when dealing with life and death. That is definitely one of the interesting parts of psychoanalyzing this character versus a Superman or a Wonder Woman.
Totally. Superman's boring.
Oh, so boring. I did like the little back and forth moment with Bruce Wayne and his fear. Felt a little cliche at the start, but I think it was the fact that I'm very aware of Bruce Wayne, Batman's moral compass. But for a casual viewer, I enjoyed the ending of that moment of Bruce saying, no, I will not kill my fear because it will be killing off a part of me. Page 67 really explained it perfectly in my eyes with Batman. It is feared to do those who do wrong, but it is also a symbol of hope as well. And that is on Bruce Wayne under the mask to deal with that responsibility to uphold. Interesting. So Coastal liked the ending a bit more than us, which...
Yeah. It's definitely one that you could go either way on, for sure. I think if you overanalyze it, it's like you're expecting a big climax,
that's
but
true.
as a simple story, it makes sense.
As a Batman single comic, I guess it does. It does make sense.
Yeah.
I like the way that he's put it there as well, because I feel like I was looking at it as just him going, no, I'm not going to kill people, and then fear just being like,
All right.
okay, fine, that's fine. But the way he's like, he worded it, I will not kill off fear because that would be killing off part of me. That's
I have to
that's
keep
an
you.
interesting way to look at it. Like I still need you because you are what makes me Batman. Like you said, it was the supernatural part of him that makes him sort of the scary one that hasn't like is fear but has no fear at the same time and all that sort of thing. And yeah, if he did just be like, no, I don't need you anymore.
He's not Batman.
Batman would be gone. There'd be nothing striking fear into people anymore. So yeah, that's an interesting way to
read.
And we wouldn't have 22 more years of comics and films and everything.
Yeah.
Just be done.
Hundreds
It
more.
just ends
Maybe
here.
if they cut it off with this one-off comic that no one's read.
Batman's done, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll echo the same opinions of the cursive writing. Someone who does write like that, I don't need to see it in my comics for writing I am reading. I had no issue if a said character picked up a handwritten note, but the internal monologue that it was doing juxtaposed with actual speech that was a regular font, it's a no from me. Yeah, that was the more annoying part to me, is that it wasn't like a choice they went with for the whole time and really committed.
It's just
was
bouncing
like,
between.
yeah. I was like, if this continues, I won't be reading it. For me, it was just a really weird artistic choice. I was 100% like...
I was terrified that was the comic. When I started reading, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, because we were like, we have to read it. But yeah, don't do that again.
No.
I'll just do better cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was saying after I read it, I think the next day I was talking to Will, and I mentioned that for school we read Frankenstein, like the actual Frankenstein book. And the first third and the last third are really hard to read, for me in particular, but I feel like they're just really tough because they're quite like Shakespearean in language, because it is the doctor, like Frankenstein, not the monster.
Yeah.
Talking and writing in a journal and stuff. And I think it's potentially also in like italics, so it's almost cursive at the same time, and it's just very like flowery, old school language, and I'm like, this is gonna suck to have to read for school. And then the middle part goes to like normal, it's the monster just talking and just being like, man, this sucks, like this is really hard, and it's so easy to read. It almost feels like modern language despite being an old book. And that's kind of what this felt like. Like the first part, you're like, it's very difficult to read and wrap your head around, and then the middle part's like,
I can
breeze through.
And
then I think at the end it comes back to a little bit of the cursive. You're like, oh no, damn it.
It's just also
Felt
like
like Frankenstein.
why, when we're printing the thing physically and we have control over how it looks, why are we actively making it hard for people?
Just do it, but like put an asterisk and then down the bottom corner just write in cursive. Just imagine that this is in cursive.
Totally.
But we'll type it normally.
Like Marvel does sometimes when it's like
in Russian.
Yeah, in Russian.
Speaks
Totally.
Russian.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
And to wrap up Coastal City comments, he says, with all that, I enjoyed reading it. I wish I gave it a little more time, but it was a fairly decent read, though nothing spectacular in my opinion. 3 out of 5 stars.
There you go.
That's a fair one.
That's a fair
And that's
rating.
both people that rated it gave it a 3
Give
out
it
of
3.
5.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair.
Now it's time for our rating.
I give
I'm
it.
so bad at this.
That's why you go last.
Yeah.
I'm still never great.
I give it 3 Joshua reviews out of 5.
Nice. Nice.
I give it 2.5 Batman surprise Pikachu faces out of 5.
What was your throat just did some,
Did it?
some weird little gargling
There
just
you
there.
go.
It was like,
I've been a bit sick, everyone. That's what that was doing.
I hope that came through the mic.
Little funny boy.
Because it's on the screen right there, I'll just give it hundreds of cracked skulls.
You are the beefy boy that likes punches.
There it is.
That's fair.
Yeah. Josh was the one who actually didn't give it a proper rating
Yeah, he
this
did.
time.
Yay!
Look at the growth.
Did the thing.
Yeah, amazing.
Good joke.
Amazing.
Did it.
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Nice, short and sweet.
Did it?
I think. I don't know.
We
the
don't know.
actual time.
We don't know.
Could be longer than I thought.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We're currently at 40 minutes.
That's-
Shortest so far.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. Next month.
Next month.
Is Batman's coming out. But
Yeah.
also at the end of the month, Moon Knight is coming out.
Marvel's Batman's coming out.
Yeah, actually, Marvel's Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some sense, it's more interesting than Batman.
Oh,
I'm going to
100%.
make the hot take.
In all senses.
Yeah.
Better outfit, cooler backstory.
Yeah.
More depth.
Better thing that he throws than
Yeah.
the shape of the thing he's
It can
supposed to
come
be.
back.
Yeah. Hopefully, like some really solid psychoanalysis. as
Yeah.
well. Like, I think that's going to be super deep. It's going to be this
Amazing.
comic, but way more intense.
Although a link to Batman, George Clooney directs one of the episodes, so it all comes
Clooney?
back around. Yeah.
Wow.
It'll be
Yeah,
interesting to actually compare Batman and Moon Knight next
Yeah,
to each other
that's
in the
true.
same
Totally.
month.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that's coming out. We're going back to the start of Moon. Well, not the actual start, because Moon Knight debuted in a Werewolf by Night comic
He
and was
did.
just a guy
Right.
who killed werewolves.
Yeah. As with all Marvel heroes, they just start as guys that do things
Yeah.
and then they create a backstory.
Yeah. But then in 1980, he had his first solo comic where they gave him his backstory. And so we're doing the 1980 comic.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
The first 4 issues, I decided, because that seems like a good amount.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm keen because we haven't done a comic before the year 2000.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we have.
No.
Yeah,
Not,
probably
not in.
Or
not
if
in-
we have, it was like late 90s.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely going to be a different art style. Already had a look at some of them.
4 issues is a good amount for the amount of text that will probably be in these issues as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope this makes you happy, Joshy, because I know you are
You
a
want
big
some
fan
oldies.
of the oldies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read a bunch of the new Moon Knight comics. I also heavily recommend them. If you're
Yeah.
excited for the show and want to read some Moon Knight stuff, anything that's past the year 2000 is also very good.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought, I haven't read this, so it'll
No.
be interesting to go back to the start.
Totally.
And neither of these guys.
Nope.
So yeah,
Nope.
that's next month.
Sick.
Until then, I've been Ben.
I've been Will.
I've been Josh.
He's a beefy boy.
Beefy
He's
boy.
beef boy.
Look how beefy I am.
Look at that. Audio listeners, imagine just the beefiest man you've ever seen.
Beef.
So much beef.
Oh my god, it's bacon everywhere.
Yeah. Bacon.
different animal.
It's a different animal.
No, because bacon is the act of doing it. It's not the
true.
meat.
It's true.
Bacon's
yeah,
not the
it's
meat.
true. He's got a point.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
you
Ben.
Can, you can get like chicken bacon.
Yeah. It's just, it will look like bacon, but it's bacon. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, because you could get turkey bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, he
I do
could be
forget
bacon.
that. So you made a very good point.
Yeah. That's what I mean. He's bacon.
That's
Like
right,
he
yeah.
is just a bacon. now.
Yeah.
I'm
Just a shriveled little.
No, I'm just
piece of
saying, you're
meat.
laying back and you're a bacon. You're just getting just a
right,
tan.
yeah, right.
I'm shook.
Yeah, look at this tan I
Look at
have.
this white boy.
I'm shook.
I do get a tan through this
podcast
this window
blind.
in the morning. It's yeah, because I'm pretty sure my right arm is more tan than my left arm.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's,
Really?
yeah. There you go.
yeah. There you
to
go.
know. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Dunk.